right. Look outside the window, the day slowly starts. It's gonna be a great morning in Germany, which means it's gonna be a sensational night in America. Wherever you are,
Oh yes.
welcome to Red Smoke. By the way, Alex, like every time we meet, I always forget to ask, you ever been to the US?
Oh yes, I have been. One
Which
time actually.
state? Or which city, in that case?
New York City, obviously, because isn't that the way as a
That
place you go?
that's the place where you put the German tourists, right?
Yes.
That's
Exactly.
oh
I
man.
gotta I gotta say though, I actually loved it there. It was very interesting to see because it's
Mm-hmm.
truly a different culture. Even though Americans usually say, and the New Yorkers say this as well, that New York is completely different from the rest of the states. Oh, I don't know, but I guess
Mm-hmm.
that's true.
Uh,
But it was interesting to see. Um, Even though I gotta admit, I would never want to live there.
Yeah, no one wants to go to the US these days anymore, right? Which is a tragedy, right?
It is, yes.
Man, I've always been such a huge fan of this country. I mean, I mean, as a little boy, of course, I could only get a glimpse of America in movies, you know, like Armageddon or Independence Day, man. Man, I watched this movie religiously. And fuck it, I still watch them. And I think best nation in the
Yeah, I
world,
do too.
right?
Yes, I think so too. Yeah, yeah. Well, but the point is actually in these old movies,
Mm,
not only were these movies much better than current movies,
right.
also I think the displayed America was much better than it is now.
Yeah, I would still argue that's the case. Like America is the best nation in the world. However, what I would mean is the essence. I mean, the raw American dream. You know, this idea. It has always stuck with me. Made me want to go there, and it still does. It is something stronger and I believe better than patriotism. I believe I'm kind of drifting aside already. I mean, we're not even like 5 minutes into the stream, but whatever,
That's
right?
fine though.
I might
No,
start this. I might start this conversation rather straight with this question, but you know, I assume we can agree on the fact that America isn't what it used to be anymore, right?
yes, that's funny. I guess coming from Germans who rarely been
Yeah.
there, but it's not just the country if you live there. It's also what it looks like from the outside and what it's
Yes.
displaying to the rest of the world. And I totally agree with you there. It's way different from what it was in the past.
Right.
I mean, what I really like about the Americans is their spirit. I mean, people make funny of this drive for freedom all the time and make fun of it, but like memes and all of that. But I think that's really something that keeps driving them, and it's obviously also what this nation was built on
Yeah.
because they're actually fighting for independence is exactly how they build America, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's a tragedy. It's so inspiring, you know. When I think about America, when I think about what I thought about this country when I was a kid, you know, it's it's a tragedy.
Yeah,
I
it
I,
is.
I would be really interested in your point of view. Does someone like you know, I would say someone who made it, right? Still believe in the American dream in 2021? I mean, would you say can you still make it from rags to riches? You know the classic story.
Oh yes, absolutely. I actually think it's easier than ever due to the online world, pretty much.
Mm,
Um, I don't know, obviously, how it works with traditional brick and mortar businesses.
right.
If that's still easy in America, I don't know. I wouldn't know, obviously.
Mm.
But a big part of what I talk about also is obviously becoming a free man, which involves making money online. I think that is the way going forward. And
Mm.
I think that's still big in America as well. And if you are like based in California, even though it has other problems, I think you have a good start to meet other people that will help you get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's still a thing.
Yeah. So, welcome if you're just joining us. And if you're not just joining us, welcome to you too, because why not? It's Red Smoke live from Berlin. And anybody who's listening right now, I know what you're thinking. What is this here? And yeah, you are asking the question that I don't really know the answer to it. Alex, listen, I got some help from someone famous to get us out of this problem. Um, he's already dead though, but it's a quote from one of my favorite musicians. It's from Miles Davis. And by the way, kids, if you don't know who Miles Davis is, you can do it just like me. Sometimes when when I want to pretend I'm one of the really cool kids, and I'm really into jazz, always mention his name, and after a short break say, so what, eh? Bitches brew, eh? And people love that. And the next time you're saying this to some jazz-loving businessman or something, it goes Miles Davis, and you say, yeah, so what, eh? And then, yeah, and you're gonna talk and might become great friends, right? Anyways, Miles Davis, this guy, he was once asked before he was doing a jazz gig, what kind of music we can expect from you, and he said, "I'll play it first, and I tell you what it is later." And Alex, I believe this pretty much describes what what we are currently doing here, right?
Yes, that describes it quite well. I gotta admit that.
Yeah, the conversation we are having right now is basically without any direction. I mean, yes, we've been given a guideline, and we will be talking about the movie The Matrix from a very unusual standpoint. And after that, we might dig a little bit deeper. I could say that after that, it will get really unconventional, but I'm not saying it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm saying it. It will.
Well, guys, in that case, you're in for a show tonight. Ruthless to make all things adorable. It's Red Smoke, live from Berlin. Alex, I remember when we met before, right? They put us together for this show and they said, do with it what you want, right? And we met before and we talked about the concept. And even at our first meetup, I gotta say, you were a really good conversation partner. And afterwards, I was driving home in my car and I thought, man, someone should have recorded this, right?
Yes, we should have. That would have been a great conversation to put online or to give to other people.
Yes, yes.
I remember that, yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, sometimes you just meet people and it just flows
Yes.
naturally
Yes.
because you like have very aligned viewpoints,
Mhm.
especially if those viewpoints are really contrary to mainstream and the society.
Right.
That usually helps. And yeah, that was a great talk, and we're gonna cover a bunch of these points today.
Absolutely. Yeah, now that the
But yeah.
stream has started already, I'm pretty glad we did not stick to our first concept. If you remember, originally we were planning
Yes.
to do a kind of a late night show, and I gotta say I'm really glad we didn't. I mean
Yeah.
it's way more natural, right?
It is. It's also a great lesson for the people who are already watching there, listening rather. Sometimes you just gotta try things, because that's something I get from a lot of guys who are trying to make it.
Right.
It doesn't even matter if it's money or just with women or anything else. They overthinking all the time. This is really an issue men have these days. And I mean, a good plan is fine, and you should plan a little bit, at least what you're trying to do and what direction you're going. But then at some point, you just gotta go. Just do it.
So Alex, would you say, like in general, trust your instincts?
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, this has a caveat because I would say trust your instincts once you found yourself. Now, this is a bit vague, I know. But what I mean by this is if you are still completely plugged into this society and what they teach you, then your instincts might be misguided and a bit deceived. So that's difficult. What I would recommend is, obviously, if you're following me or if you have read some other books like The Way of the Superior Man, for example, which explain a bit better how male and female and the world actually work, then I would say yes, trust your instincts. Absolutely.
All right.
That's what I do. And I think it has served me well. so far.
Have you always thought this way, or was there a change, like in your mindset? Was there a time where you were overthinking stuff?
Oh yes. Oh God. Yeah, I mean, people sometimes think I was always this guy I am now, but I really wasn't.
Hmm.
I was what the people call a blue pilled loser. The
Right.
past. I mean, it's been years, and looking back, I've made a great transformation. And yeah, so there was a lot of change in my mindset and how I operate, what I do, how I think. There was many changes, and I think that's important because if you think about it, if you are looking back to your older self 5 years ago
Yes.
and you are the same person, it's an issue, man. Didn't grow at all. There's nothing. There has to be change. I mean, evolution is always happening, right?
Right.
Nature is always changing, so always need to advance, to push forward. That's, I think, is a very important part for any man.
Absolutely. Do you think so from what I just heard from you, this is a process that should never stop, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's a constant process. I've coined the term. I don't know if I coined it, but I use the term all the time for conquest. I think men always need to be on a conquest because it's funny. Um, I don't know who said it. I don't remember who it was, but he said he always was confused that when he accomplished something, then he felt a void inside of him. He would be thinking, why would that be? I mean, if you accomplished something, that's great, isn't it?
Right.
And I have felt exactly the same when I finished my books, for example. Every time I have it finished and published, I'm like, but what now? There is something in the masculine soul, which is very important. We don't like, well, that's not the right word. We like, obviously, if something is accomplished, but we need something that drives us forward. We always need something to conquer, be it women or countries or space. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
But we need something to do. And it's very important because a lot of people always seek to achieve something. I mean, that is why Elon Musk, although he is a billionaire, is still working. I mean, he could just chill, right?
Right.
Could just like sit on the beach, enjoy his mojito, and that's it. But he's still working, trying to conquer space because he is on a conquest. That is very, very important for any man. That's what drives us. So if people are the men who are listening, if you are feeling a void inside yourself, then that's usually, I would say 90% of the times, because you don't have something to strive for. Just coasting through life, which is what most men do these days. And that is a big issue. That's what I've been doing in the past. And since I have found something to conquer, to strive for, my life and my feeling and experience of myself has drastically improved.
Alex, would you say there are not enough Elon Musks in this world?
Well, that's a very good question because I'm a bit divided about that. See, I hate these labels of alpha and beta and sigma or whatever. I mean,
Right.
they have their purpose because it helps to categorize people, and I get that. And I have actually written about this myself. If anyone thinks I'm a liar here, yes, I did write about this. But there's a point. These labels work for a reason. For example, Elon Musk, funnily enough, in the red pill world, isn't actually considered an alpha because he's like not very good with women. It seems. I mean, we don't really know, but what you see online. However, I think when it comes to life in general, he definitely is because he's always been on conquest and trying to change things.
Yeah.
And I think that for me is a big part of being alpha and not just focusing on women all the time, but that's another topic.
Right.
However, I don't think a society can work only with these kind of guys. But your question was if there should be more, and that's why I'm divided. I think yes, there should be more of these men.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. You know,
yes,
the problem is, of course, I don't want anyone to be Elon Musk because that would be one hell of a competition, right?
oh
So
yeah,
I'm like, okay, I need some guys under me. You know, some guys like Elon Musk, right?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it should just be more of them.
Right.
And the funny thing is, there are more of them. They just don't know. That's exactly what society has been doing to men. There are many men who could maybe not the level of Elon Musk. Obviously, not everyone can be a billionaire, but any man could do much more with their life and changing society and moving mountains pretty much if they found their masculine soul and their inner spirit and actually went after something.
What do you think is holding man back?
Oh, there are many things. Oh, yes. I think obviously mostly it is how we are raised,
Right.
which is where I agree with the red pill. Because men are really mostly raised by women. If you look at it in kindergarten or in elementary school, most of the teachers and caretakers are all female. Men are obviously working all day, and you're with mom all the time.
Right.
And even later in life, there are a lot of women just around all the time. And men really don't have spaces where they can be with other men.
Yeah.
There- this is not like they are on a trial to infiltrate all our spaces. I don't think so.
Yeah.
That's just trying to be part of men's lives. That's really it. But there should definitely be much more masculine role models and figures in a boy's life when he grows up.
Yeah. Now that you say it, I for my life, I cannot remember any male teacher I had. Like in any school.
That's crazy,
Frank,
man.
man, it's I can't remember any. Yeah, it's
I think I
yes.
had a few still, 2 or 3, I think, over the time, which is still very low. And because the relationship to a man teaching you is way different to a woman, obviously. People try to deny this because everyone's the same, right? And gender is a social construct.
Right.
Yeah. But there are big differences if a man is teaching you. He's like a mentor for you. And you just interact differently with men. And that's very important because you need this masculine energy when you grow up and this masculine behavior and seeing him act with women, especially, and also with other men to understand how the two genders actually work together.
Right.
And this is missing a lot in current society and how boys are raised. So that is a big reason, I think, why men then end up just being providers, really, because they lost their drive, their inner fire. It was, to put it differently, it was never discovered by them because there was no man who got it out of them, told them what they can do, what they should be doing.
Right.
And yeah, for this, I think they are missing a great opportunity here, these men, because they could be so much more, but they just don't know.
Yeah,
And it's not even their fault.
sometimes breaks my heart because those are men who are like I believe way more intelligent than I am, way more attractive than I am, and they are I don't know, kind of stuck.
Oh man, I know guys who just recently I've talked to someone who was magnificently looking. This guy was like very handsome and he was also very smart. Talking to him was very nice. I enjoyed it. And he was really just what he did was working a shitty 9 to 5 job. He really hated, you could tell. He was married with kids. And in the evening what he was doing was playing video games on his phone.
Well,
After the
not
kids were in
not
bed, and then watching
not even
Netflix
on
or
not
something
even on
with
the
his girl.
Xbox, man, on the phone.
Yeah.
That's emasculating, man. I mean, if you
Yeah.
guys, if you're listening, if you play video games, at least play it on the Xbox or the PlayStation, not on your phone.
Yeah, that's yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I have played games on the phone in the past, but thinking back, I thought,
Yes.
why did I do that?
Yes.
Also, the very important part here is obviously these games are designed to make you addicted to them.
Right.
Uh, Obviously, through notifications you get all the time that there's some building finished or something, which is absolutely meaningless to your life or anyone's life. So yeah, but the reason why this works is actually very interesting because, as I said before, men are always on a conquest, right? They need
Right.
to do something and finish something, then do something else, and that's exactly what these games do. You get these achievements, right?
Right.
Xbox or wherever you get an achievement, you did that or you've built that, you got the next level, and that's something we seek as men. And the issue just is that this obviously isn't real, and you should much more looking to upgrade your real life and level up there, gain experience points with other men, your work, women, etc., and then level up your life instead of that made up life that doesn't really exist.
Right. Alex, do you know the movie Braveheart? The movie with Mel Gibson.
Yes, I do, but I gotta admit, it's been a long time since I watched it, so
All right.
I might be blanking a bit.
No, that's okay. There's just one quote, like in a part of a motivational speech from Mel Gibson, right? Minutes before they are having a huge fight, and he says something along the lines, "Well, if you're like 40, 50 years later, when you're lying in your bed and dying, like, what will you remember, right?" And that's and I don't know. That's something I think about every day. Like if in 40 years or so, if I'm lucky, right? 40, 50 years, if I'm lying in my bed and dying, I won't be saying I conquered the latest level in Grand Theft Auto, right?
Yeah, man. Yes,
It's
that is. Yeah, and the issue is that people don't think about that. I mean, I have a poem stuck to the wall next to my desk. I'm not going to read it, but it's pretty much the same version of what you just said. Just that you need to, how do I put it, to satisfy the man in the mirror.
right.
That's really it. The end, because that's the important one. And I have been thinking about this a lot because people have asked me. This is actually a funny story I can tell in a second about Twitter.
Sure.
Because people have asked me why I sometimes post controversial things because I might be banned on Twitter. The funny thing is, I really don't care if I do get banned. Even though I have now almost 15,000 followers, and obviously rebuilding that would take a while. But I really don't care because in the end, it doesn't matter how many followers I had. It's just not important. Of course, I get my message out better to help men, and obviously that's why I'm looking forward to gaining even more followers to try to change more men's lives these days. But obviously, if you think about it, I'm always thinking about what do I get from it in the end, at the end of my life. That's exactly your quote there. And if it doesn't align with what I might enjoy then, thinking back or looking back rather,
Yes.
then I don't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, that was actually, if I can quickly tell this little story.
Yeah. You go.
Yeah, there was some discussion recently with the election. You might have noticed that, right?
Oh, I don't know anything about that, man.
Yeah. Yeah, almost nobody heard of that. Yeah, but anyway, on Twitter, I'm not going to call a name, obviously, but there is some money Twitter guru. Let's just put it that way. And he posted something about Twitter itself, the platform who has to pretty much do whatever it's told.
Right.
And I just posted underneath that with, I think I tagged Jack Dorsey, you know, the guy from Twitter.
Yes.
And it's just said, it's really sad that he can't even use his own platform he created the way he wants to. And then the guy blocked me. But before that, he slid into my DMs and said, why would you bring Jack to the attention of my account? I was like, this guy is really afraid to lose his Twitter account. And I don't know if this really is because he makes most of his money from that, maybe, but that's another issue. Because that really shouldn't be your only income. That's very fragile.
Yeah.
But secondly, I thought, man, these days have really wrong goals. Because why does it matter if your Twitter account gets banned or not?
Yeah, I wouldn't even
Just
say
not important.
I wouldn't even say goals. It's always about the drama. You know, there's always like some
Yeah.
kind of drama, and then something grows out of it, like a single tweet or a hashtag or whatever, right?
Yeah. They're chasing clout. Because, I mean, why would you post this controversial thing if you are afraid it might get you banned? Then
Right.
don't post it. I mean, that's so weird to me. If you say something, that's another manly thing, right? If you say something, then you need to stand for it. You need to fall for it as well. If you say it, where is power, right? What you say, you have to do. If you don't do it, then it's just weak. And I don't understand why you would post something like that if you don't actually stand behind it.
Right.
Anyway, that was just a nice little
Oh, that's
side
good.
story there.
I'm just like I said a few minutes ago, I'm pretty glad we did not stick to our first late night television show concept, right?
Yeah.
Look, the way this conversation goes, it's really natural, and I was expecting this. You know, since the first time we met, we always have this kind of talks, and there's some kind of humor, but I feel, and I hope people who are listening to this get this natural sense, this natural way of communicating, this unscripted way of communicating. There's a problem. I still really like the concept we had in the beginning, but I don't know if you feel the same way. But like late night shows or television itself, it's almost always artificial. I don't know if I don't know if that's the right word, artificial, but something is always odd. I mean, Jesus Christ, TV itself, right? There's something artificial about it. But in talk shows, man, even if the talk seems to be interesting, there are no real conversations, which is ironic, right? I mean, it's called a talk show, but I don't know. I want conversations, not like scripted interviews.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, first, I totally agree with you 100%.
Right.
But the first thing here is people, the majority actually doesn't want these scripted things, because that's why podcasts have risen so crazily in the last years.
Right.
Because if you think about it, why would anyone listen for 2 or 3 hours to a bunch of guys talking? And the reason is because that's how humans socialize and how we like converse with each other.
Right.
We are not scripted in any way. So these scripted TV shows and talk shows, as you said, even though they are obviously very scripted, that is just not something humans do usually. It's just, and that's why we don't like it. I mean, it comes from a different point, because obviously the time is very limited on these TV shows. So you have to sort of cram like 5 or 10 different topics into half an hour. How are you going to do this? I remember, that's another great thing. I remember one panel, it had John Peterson on it.
Yes.
And some other leftist guys. It was quite funny. And there was obviously an audience, and they could ask questions. And each of the panel members had a minute time to answer the question. 1 minute. And if they weren't finished, the host would intervene and just said, "That's your minute," and cut them off in the middle of their thought and their sentence. And I was like, dude, who wants to listen to that? That's just stupid. And the only reason this clip even went viral at all is because Jordan Peterson was on fire again and just talking a lot of shit. So it was quite funny. But all the other guys and girls in there, they couldn't really express their thoughts. Because if you think about it, how do you talk about complex issues like on social scale with the genders and all of that in like a minute? How do you put all of this in 1 minute?
Yes.
And that is my issue with these things, because people don't take time to think, to talk, and to change things. Everyone is just always running from one thing to the next, because that's how our society is built up.
Yeah.
And that's why I love to see these podcasts come up, because that's really refreshing to see just these natural conversations between people, really just talking. And through this talking, you usually come up with new ideas, or you have some new thoughts about it.
And that was
Instead
actually
of just,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm sorry if I'm interrupting you, but that's
all good.
it's really important for me to say this because when we first met, right? I still remember the talk we had in this shitty cafe we were sitting in, and you know, the way the conversation went, it was really crazy because I was talking about things I realized at that very second. You know, it was like I was enlightened by something, and then I was talking about it. It was not like an interview, and yeah, and I believe like the biggest problem because, look, a huge part I believe of Red Smoke is I don't want us to take ourselves too serious, right? Something that
I never do
differs
that,
us from
so it's fine.
yeah. So but there's I believe the biggest problem in television or in like late night is the biggest problem is humor. And you know,
yes.
we originally planned to go by script, but yeah, well, you know, first of all, we are German, so obviously we do not have a sense of humor. Secondly, I don't know. There's something off about scripted gags, especially about scripted gags. I mean, I don't know how you see humor, like in movies or in real life, but I believe everyone has a joke or two to tell at a party, right? But
Yeah.
reciting a joke, like a pre-written joke, that's like standing in front of a huge orchestra, right? In front of a conductor and like humming like like that's not that's not humor. I really don't get it. That's like what stand up does, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you totally.
Mm,
There are obviously some scripted jokes that work, obviously in movies, but still, a completely natural joke that just comes out of the situation or what you were talking about is
right,
always much better.
right,
And I personally, I think stand-up comedians just mastered the craft of making it look natural, because they're literally just talking to the audience.
right.
That's all they do, and it seems natural even though it is scripted. So I guess that's why it works. And I enjoy some of them, like Bill Burr, for example, is a great
Mm,
stand-up comedian. But still, you notice that obviously it is scripted,
yeah,
because he has tried these gags before with other people, and then he just repeats them. But yes, I remember this talk we had in the cafe, and it went everywhere, like all topics you could think about it. You
right,
could think
right.
about we covered, and that was great because there were some new insights, as you said, things I didn't think about before, you didn't think about, and that's how it should go. That is how you discover new things, how you make
Right,
connections with people.
right.
It's not online in text or on Tinder or something. You talk to people, small talk, and then there's some other talk that builds out of it. And this is what connects you.
Right.
But yeah, people are very afraid to do that these days.
Yeah, I think the danger, particularly when you start a podcast or a drama or a television series, for that matter, like people and executives are nervous. You know, like how does the set look like? Is the screen aesthetic? We need a segment where somebody announces a thing or two. I don't really think people care about that. I don't know about you, but I want to feel comfortable while listening to a podcast after sometimes like 16 hours of work.
Yes, no, I totally agree. The issue I think is where this comes from, because people are really afraid of their external image, how they look to other people,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's pretty much what Instagram is, right? And external validation, and
Right.
this goes through the whole society and all of these things, and that is a big issue because people like us, we just like natural people, and just like humans operate. And most people actually do. That's why, again, these podcasts are so firing up,
Right.
because people enjoy it.
absolutely. You know, my personal view on whole interview versus conversation stuff is this. I don't think I am a good interviewer. I don't think I possess that kind of journalistic skill. However, I believe if you want to access like certain kind of information, if you want to know something specific about a person, I believe it is correct to pre-write questions, right? But the thing is, I don't care about specific information. I'm quite happy to get to know somebody. Like for as for myself, I'm not a VIP. You know, I walk on the street, no one recognizes me. I'm like a bad Clark Kent. I put on my glasses, no one recognizes me. Then I put off my glasses, and still no one recognizes me. So I definitely never had more than like 5 official interviews in my entire life, and I'm not talking about television or something big. You know, it was like promotion, mostly related to my novels. But I always had the feeling that I better have a lawyer sitting next to me. You know what I mean? Everybody's trying to
Yeah.
catch me saying something indiscreet or clumsy or hateful, so that they could have some kind of clickbait.
Yeah, now imagine what it would be like if you were really famous. Then you have this feeling like all the time.
Right.
I mean, I guess, I don't know, obviously, but I guess that's what it feels like. And yes, that is exactly the issue because that is what people are doing these days when you're famous in these interviews, at least most of them.
Yeah.
They are trying to find something or get something out of you that A doesn't align with what you usually say.
Right.
So you're a fraud, or just you're affronting some kind of group or ideology so they can make a hit piece about it. And yeah, I despise this kind of society so much because that's just so everyone's just looking for the next big Aldrich.
Yeah.
That's so annoying. I mean,
know-
we have so much better things to do than just talking shit all the time about anyone, about people who just minding their business, just trying to change something. Because I mean, remember when Elon Musk, he again, was trying to help these kids in the cave,
Right.
the,
Yeah.
with his sort of submarine or whatever that was, and people were literally talking shit that his idea is bad and doesn't work. And I was like, so what? He was trying to help a different angle. He was trying something new. Maybe it could have worked. Who knows? But why is this bad? Why would you talk bad about this person? He was
Yeah.
just trying to help. And yeah, but that's the society, I guess.
Absolutely. But we are different, ladies and gentlemen. We are Red Smoke. It's 10:40, I believe, in Chicago. It's 11:40 in New York, and it is already 5:40 a.m. here in Berlin. It is icy outside, man. Icier than Angela Merkel's family dinner on Christmas. It's already Friday here. Alex, I never liked Fridays, man. No, a Thursday used to be my favorite day. You know why?
No, I don't.
Since movies used to come out. You know, here in Germany, like movies used to come out. Man, this is like a dialogue straight out of Star Wars. But were you a big cinema guy before the dark times? You know, before before the big COVID came.
Yes, absolutely. I went to the cinema a lot. And because I really enjoyed this, not only sitting in this chair and eating some trashy food, but also on this huge screen, seeing it for the first time, like a premiere or something. That was really something I heavily enjoyed. And it's just different from watching it at home. Even if you have like a huge TV and I don't know, surround sound system and all of that, it's just not the same as in the cinema.
You prefer watching movies alone or with friends or with a crowd?
Well, considering the movies I really enjoy, I can only watch them with other men because my wife, most of them at least, hates them.
So you're saying your wife doesn't like Predator or what?
Yes, weird, right? Yeah, no, but I usually enjoyed going with other guys. Yeah. Yeah, so alone, yeah, not so much, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, sometimes well, it depends on the movie. You know, sometimes I want the experience with other people. Like there's something beautiful if, for example, if you watch a horror movie at the cinema, and there's something beautiful if there's a jump scare and you just have a shock. You just jump up, and you know everyone else in the room also jumps up. That's something beautiful. Like you're sharing emotions. That's a nice thing. I miss that.
Yes, exactly. And that's a great thing you just said. Sharing emotions. That's really something that has been gone missing completely in this day and age with social media and like Tinder and all of that.
Yeah.
Because the very important part really is being around other humans. We are designed to do that.
Hmm.
And yes, sharing these emotions, whatever they are, it doesn't matter, good or bad. You just need
Right.
to share them. And that makes the human experience, I think.
Yeah, that's a catharsis, you know. I mean, even if you watch like a cheesy chick flick or some stuff, right? So like a girl is madly in love with a guy, and in the end they come together, and you like cry like a little bitch. You cry at the cinema, you know. And after the movie, you come out of the cinema, you wipe your tears off and say, oh man, I feel a little bit better about myself, you know. It's I mean that's yeah, I miss that.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta admit, I've never watched a chick flick like that in the
Well, you,
cinema.
you well you have to. That's the experience, man.
Yeah, but I agree. Yeah,
Hmm.
you need to experience
Yes,
these kind of things
yes.
because otherwise your life is very dull.
Mm.
But people always ask me because I've talked about emotions a lot and how to pass them as a man, and people always think you need to become this dead log who just doesn't have any feelings
Right.
if you're like an alpha guy or red pill guy or whatever,
Mm.
and that is just completely the opposite of what you should be doing.
Mm.
That's actually the initial um, idea I had also for this talk, talking about emotions, and because these red pill guys usually tend to be very, yeah, they call it stoic, but it's not really
It's
stoicism. I
in
think they just never
it's
read it up.
indifferent, I believe, right?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
funnily enough, if you actually read up on stoicism, these guys they did actually experience emotions intentionally. Each day, they would imagine a situation where they lose something near and dear to their heart.
Hmm.
Yeah, intentionally. And the reason was so they would be more grateful for still having it. But it is a heavy emotion if you imagine something that's very near and dear to your heart that you lose it.
Right.
So, no, these guys, they talk about stoicism, but I think they never read actually how it works or what it was.
Yeah.
So that's kind of weird. But anyway, um, yeah, that's very important. What I always say is that you definitely need to feel emotions as a man. I mean, you're a human. You have emotions. You can't control them, and you can't stop them. What you can do is decide to not act on them, which
Right.
is what you should do sometimes.
Hmm.
Obviously, there are times where it's not right to explode in anger or in resentment, which is usually what these guys do. And there are times where you should be angry, for example, or you should be happy, or you should be funny.
Mm.
And aloof is a great verb there. Just be that funny, amused guy who
Hmm.
just doesn't take shit. And that's really the difference here because, yeah, I don't know, these pickup artists and all of them, they always just say, no, you don't have emotions and that's for women. And I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you. That's I mean that's essentially what it means to I believe to grow up, right? I mean when you're a kid and you have an accident or like a little scratch and you cry, you cry and then your mother comes and like comforts you, but like when you grow up you hurt, uh, you don't cry anymore, right? You're controlling yourself now.
Yes, exactly. That's the important part.
Hmm.
Um,
I mean some people
yeah,
still I mean some people like never grow up. Some people
oh,
like
yes.
something happens and they are I believe that's the essence of being triggered, right? So like if maybe 10, 20 things trigger me every day, but do I like react to them?
Yeah,
That's
I
the
mean,
thing.
you and me, if you think about it, we
Hmm.
are completely different to how society operates
Hmm.
these days. So we would have to be triggered like all day because everything just like most things you see on television or something, even though we don't watch it.
Right.
But if we were on, sometimes you still get some info from the world outside. you would need to be triggered all day.
Yeah.
And that's not a nice way to live. And but people are like that. They are triggered all day. If Trump tweets something, they are triggered. Go onto his Twitter account and tweet something underneath it. And I'm just, yeah, I don't understand that, because not only does Trump not read that, and they know this, it doesn't do anything.
Absolutely. That's yeah.
Yeah, but to get back to your point, that is a
Yeah.
part of growing up. To
Yes. Yes.
That's why I always say pausing emotions. You need to understand them. You need to know where it's coming from, why you are feeling like that right now, and then you can decide for yourself. All right, is this an emotion that's really like fitting the current situation? Can I act on it or not? And that's really, I think, a big part of growing up, especially as a man,
Right.
and not throwing. If you see these guys literally throwing tantrums like at the age of 30, I'm like, you missed 12 years or longer of growing up.
Yes.
What the hell have you been doing?
Oh man. Man, it's hard to start. I have to say. I believe I want this to be as natural as possible, but we have to start with we have to start with the title of this podcast.
Yes.
As much as I would like to continue on that topic, but there's a there's a problem, man. Since everybody and their grandma have already made a review on this on the Matrix, and
Yes.
this review might be something else I could say than anything you have heard before, but it would sound a little bit I always feel kind of pretentious talking about this movie, talking about the Matrix. How do I put this? Talking about this movie always comes to me with a sense of authority, and I always feel like a teacher. And everybody who talks to me about this movie sounds like a teacher as well. People are weird when it comes to the Matrix, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, very.
I believe it's really hard to disconnect your personal beliefs from the movie. Maybe because it is so easy to be interpreted in so many ways, which is an indicator for its brilliant screenplay. But even saying it is a very philosophical or religious movie would already be too much, I believe. For some, it might be just an action movie.
Yeah, I think someone said what he said, this movie was made for 13-year-old philosophists. Because it has very heavy philosophy like teachings or ideas, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
But it also has completely over the top action scenes.
Yes.
But that's, I think, what makes it so likable, because that just sticks in your mind. And I agree with you, if you talk about the Matrix, it's usually because you're trying to make a point, which is
Yes,
also what we're doing here. It's just inevitable, I think, because as you said, it can be interpreted in so many ways. And what I think is, because it talks a lot about the slavery for your mind, I think that is why it's so near and dear to people's hearts, because there's something in this movie that just relates very much to real life.
Yes.
And it meets people at the very core, and that is, I guess, why people have difficulties just talking about it, just chit-chatting. Basically, there always is some notion within the talk.
Right. Yeah, and it's also really hard to kick this conversation off like in a professional way. I don't want to sound too mundane, right? Like I could say, like, which pill would you choose? It's like a really kindergarten kind of question. By the way, I am acid green magenta pill, actually, right? So Alex, listen, like, seriously, we both watched the movie for preparation, right?
Yes.
How familiar were you with the movie? I mean, as for myself, I have rewatched it this summer, right? And a few days ago for prep, so we have something to talk about. Has it been a while for you since you've seen it the last time? How familiar were you with the movie?
Good question. I think I watched it last time in spring this year, because I also made a short YouTube clip about it. It was a bit of a different topic. One of these many reviews you find on YouTube.
Right.
I did as well. But The funny thing is about the Matrix. I think I've watched it 20 times already. There might not even be enough.
Yeah, same here.
And yeah, and but each time I watch it again, there's something new I discover. I don't know how this works. I just don't understand. But especially this time when I was watching it with a specific lens on it, which just means looking at parallels to real world. This time I really did it intentionally, and you notice a lot of these parallels. And I gotta give credit to the Wachowski brothers. This was really, truly, fantastically set up. This movie.
Absolutely.
This was really. It speaks so closely to people, and how we are living and what we are doing each day. In a fantastic metaphor with the Matrix itself. So that's really. I enjoy this a lot.
Yeah.
Every time I watch it, I enjoy it.
Yes, I mean, revisiting them, like what you just said, it gives me a kind of a new appreciation every time. You know, I gotta say, when I was young, like really young, like 10, I always I always felt this movie to be stupid and silly. You know,
Yes.
when I was 10, I believe The Matrix had their free TV premiere on the German television. And like in every commercial break, there were like 100 clips from the movie, and it looks so stupid to me. Obviously, I have changed, man.
Yeah, it does though. But if you, yeah,
Has your taste in movies changed from childhood?
oh yes, definitely. Well, I guess this comes with age as well. Right now, I'm more interested in much more. Yeah, I'm interested in movies which A, challenge my mind,
Yes.
or B, displaying a traditional sense of masculinity, like Braveheart, for example, or The Rock, which I recently watched. These kind of movies are just. I mean, it helps obviously with my brand to talk about this stuff, but I just enjoy them much more because they're so. I don't know, if you watch current movies, it's really just the same stuff all over again.
Yes.
There's really nothing new if you think about it. I mean, every Marvel movie is really the same. You know, I'm gonna affront a lot of people with saying that, but it really is. It's just always the same story. They have some aliens or something, some issue. That's how it starts. Then they're making some jokes along the way, and in the end they win. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. Maybe there's some cool graphics involved, but that's really just it. And I'm just missing diversity. I'm that guy. I need completely different movies.
How
And
do you,
that's really just
yeah,
not something I get these days.
absolutely. How do you deal with fiction itself? I mean, when I watch, like for example, again, The Matrix or like some Marvel bullshit, it is obviously science fiction, right? So when you watch
Yes.
when you watch this kind of movie, do you find yourself being aware of the fact that you are watching the movie? Are you the kind of person that when a movie is obviously unrealistic, right? Does it tuck you out of the experience, or do you enjoy fiction and fantasy?
It depends a lot. I was always that guy who liked science fiction or fiction rather, that is sort of aligned with what could be possible in reality. You know, for example, Transformers, I think is stupid. I mean, I think there are some funny clips in it, and there are some nice popcorn kino, if you want to call it that. But I much rather enjoy it, especially movies like The Rock, for example, which is or Armageddon is another great one.
I
Now
love
you might be
that.
thinking, yes, Armageddon, yeah, right. You know, you might be thinking, how does this relate to the Matrix? Because it's obviously fiction.
Right.
Yeah, well, of course, but this movie, in my opinion, is just a metaphor for real life, and that is where it is. Even though it's fiction, it's still realistic, I think. So there's a difference in how I like fiction or how I enjoy it. For example, if you have you ever seen the movie In Time with Justin Timberlake?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like with the green watch on your
Yeah,
wrist. Yeah,
exactly. Well, lifetime is the currency in this world,
right.
and or the money rather. Yeah, that obviously was a completely fictional movie, right? But I still enjoyed it because it was really just another metaphor for how you operate with your life. That your lifetime is much more important than any money,
Right.
and that's what I enjoyed there. Yeah, but getting back to the Matrix, that's really something. I don't know. Every time I watch it, it's something new I discover. Really great.
What is your favorite scene from the movie?
Oh
Do
God,
do you have one? I know it's a hard question, but is there like one
that's
scene where you say yes, yes, that's it?
ooh. Oh, I don't think there's one specific scene. I like a lot of them. You have one.
Well, I gotta say it's the opening. I gotta say it's the opening. I mean, I imagine I was obviously way too young when this movie came out that I could see it in the cinema. But the first 5 minutes, I believe it's 5 minutes and 20 seconds with logos. I imagine myself sitting in a cinema with 100 other people, no context whatsoever, watching this first 5 minutes. Man, I believe people went nuts when this came
Yeah.
out. I mean, this is like I don't know if you heard about this. There's this story. People don't know if that's true. The Wachowskis, the people who directed this movie, they sold Warner Brothers on the project with the 10 million opening sequence, right? So the Wachowskis approached the studio. I went a little bit German there. The studio,
Yeah.
uh, and they wanted to have a budget of like 60 million, but the studio gave them offered them only 10 million to shoot the film, and they actually took the 10 million and just made the the first 5 minute sequence. And actually, that's what sold. After that, they went back to Warner Brothers and then showed them the first 5 minutes. Like, oh right here, like literally, shut up and take my money. Which is, man, they had balls back in those days.
I
Just
didn't
like
actually
that.
know that, but that is fantastic. Yeah,
Yes,
that's how you should do it, man. If you
and
believe in something, that's another lesson there. If you believe that you have something truly great to offer,
absolutely, and
and
yeah,
you should make it work no matter what you do.
yes, and whatever you
But
think about,
actually,
yeah,
yes,
whatever you think of the Matrix, every shot is there because of the passion the Wachowskis had. You can
yeah,
I look. This is not something I can objectively prove, but it's something I feel. You can see they argued it out. You can see the years of planning, the
yes.
very precise script they had, the camera. This
And
is perfect.
that is exactly why this movie was so successful and still is to today, and it influenced, I mean, a whole movement of the Red Pill, obviously, with
Right.
with a great metaphor. I mean, there are many Red Pill movements right now, but still, there are many things. I mean, the bullet time itself was made by this movie, and all of these things. That was really, really great. But actually, while you were talking, I decided on a scene I like the most because it
Yes.
just popped back in my mind.
Yes.
Yes, and that is the scene when Morpheus first walks with Neo. It's the Red Lady scene. That's what it's called.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when they walk down the street in New York with all these people in suits, and Morpheus tells Neo how the Matrix is set up. Because if you listen to this scene where he talks about, one quote is, "Most people are so inured they are not ready to be unplugged, and they will fight to protect the system." And this
Yes. Yes.
quote, if you listen to this and think about real world while listening to it, that's really like shocking. And the
Absolutely.
first time I discovered this, that he's actually talking about the real world in that situation, I was like, what the hell, man? How did they put this so perfectly in this movie and still so hidden? You know,
Yeah. It's really
that's really
subtle.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. The whole movie is all these metaphors are very subtle, and you only notice them like after watching it 3 or 4 times.
Right.
Then you're like, oh, that's what he means. Now I get it.
I believe I'll be watching this movie like 20 years later, and I have a complete different interpretation on this whole thing.
Oh yes.
I know myself too well. Apparently, there is a fourth film scheduled for
Oh
next year.
God.
Are you hyped for that?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Absolutely not. I
How
mean,
do you feel about
because
the whole sequel prequel culture? I mean, almost every movie nowadays is just a remake or sequel or prequel, right? You just look at the app domination that is Star Wars.
yes, they're really just trying to milk the cow as much as
Mm,
possible, and you see this in the movies because they
right.
are really lackluster. I mean, the characters, if we talk about Star Wars, the recent movies, they don't have any. I mean, they haven't given Rey, or what she's called, I don't even know, the
Yeah.
main female character. She doesn't even have a background story. They just went with, oh yeah, well, you're just powerful. That's it.
Right.
There's, I mean, come on, think of something. Put a little bit of effort into it.
Yeah.
Give the character a soul, not just because she's female. Is now powerful.
Absolutely.
Congratulations. And yeah, that's really annoying with these remakes and sequels, and especially with the Matrix. I was actually quite furious when I first read this because I know they will ruin this legacy the Matrix has built with this stupid movie, which is just going to be a woke version of an old Matrix remake, nothing else. And yeah, I hate it.
what is your view on the second and third movie? I mean,
I must be the yeah.
yeah, those are the movies where many fans split up. Many fans say, "Oh, there's only like one Matrix movie," and the other people say, "No, all three movies are decent." What is your take
Yeah,
on
but
it?
I think the latter part is very. There are not many people in the second group, are there?
Yes.
Because I always thought I'm like the only one who really enjoyed all three of them.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, for some reason, I don't know why people don't like the second and the third. I mean, I guess they went very deep into philosophy, obviously with the second one, with the architect. That's a funny scene when he explains the Matrix and how it works. And people were like, I know there's this quote from some guy who was sitting in the cinema watching him talking. He was like, "What the hell is this guy on about?"
Yeah.
And yes, it's very difficult. He's just using a bunch of very expensive words, if you want to call it that, and going deep into philosophy. So I guess that's why people don't like it that much because it was too much of that.
Yeah. There's something really fun you can do actually. I tried this with many friends of mine, and none of them could give me an answer. And I'm really curious if you can give me an answer. Uh, it is a simple task. Just answer in one sentence. Explain the plot of the second Matrix movie to me.
In one sentence, oh god.
Yes.
Uh, oh well, I guess I'm failing on that as well.
Yeah, that's.
I think I can't do it in one sentence.
I'm trying to remember, and like seriously, I have no idea what happened in this movie. And I mean, a plot from the first movie is like we have the hacker Neo discovers the truth, and the life he knows is a lie
Yes,
and stuff. Like the second movie is like techno orgy rave.
yes,
I don't know. It's,
it
man,
is.
what happens in this movie? It's so hard to to like explain this.
Yeah, and it gets worse in the third
Mm,
when he is in this other dimension or something. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I gotta agree. It's that's probably what made people so weird about it and not like the other
But
two
goddamn,
sequels to
the
it.
highway scene is
Yeah,
this
but
is
I mean, yeah, especially in the second,
yeah,
the action scenes were fantastic. I
absolutely.
mean, so that's something people should have looked for, right? Just some popcorn action scenes. I mean, what's bad
Right, right.
there? But yeah, but really, I cannot explain it in one sentence. I don't think so.
So you failed as well. I believe this is the impossible task. I
Maybe
would
some of
guess it. Yeah.
our listeners can do it. I don't know. There's a way to put it in one
Right.
sentence.
You know what I'm thinking about? There's one thing that bugged me about the Matrix, or one thing I wanted to explore a little bit more, and I always wanted to explore the character of Cypher a little bit more.
Oh yes,
The guy who basically says, "I hate reality." And
yes,
this might be extremely personal now, but if you allow me to ask you, if we traced back Cypher's motivation, it all culminates in the fact that he knows how reality works, but he does not like it, right? So
yes,
there are like universal truths like gravity and the speed of light, and the next 10 Star Wars series probably. Like honest question. do you like reality as it is? Like, not if it's fair or unfair. Do you like the way the world works?
Oh, that is a fantastic question. um, yeah, especially if you are at the stage I am and other people are
Mm.
with me, that you actually understand the dark side of reality.
Yes.
And uh, people always assume I'm for some reason I'm bitter at the world and reality, but I'm not, because I know that the world can be very dark, and I'm intentionally saying can be.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even talking about like women. It's just life in general, or the world, the universe, whatever you want to call
Mm.
it. And I still like it though. And the reason is, funnily enough, because I have been living a dream life in the past. Not a
Mm.
good dream life, if you, as you would have imagined, on a beach with a mojito. Um, the bad life, the blue pilled life, if you want to call it that.
Mm.
Um, I was working for other people, trying to fulfill their dreams because I didn't know better, and not really enjoying my life at all, just trying to escape it with video games and all of that.
Yes.
And now that I see reality for what it is and how it works, I like it because I understand it. That is a great feeling. If you understand how it works and you can operate in it, then it is great, even though it is dark sometimes, obviously.
Yes.
And you might be thinking, because I talk a lot about how men always need to conquer and need to be in adversity and struggle, you would be thinking, isn't that a bad life? Wouldn't it be much better if you just could chill all the time? And I don't
Mm.
think so, because this is what helps you grow as a person, and it makes you better
Mm.
each day. And yes, when we come back to Cypher, funnily enough, while I rewatched the video yesterday, the movie
Yes.
yesterday, I thought about Cypher a lot as well. And I made this connection to the MGTOW guys, yeah, a lot.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yes, because they understand how it works, because they learned it. They saw reality for what it is, and they saw that
Mm.
it works that way, but they didn't like it. And then they decided to not go back like he did, because he's virtually saying he wants the blue pill again. Because I
Mm.
think in one scene he says to Neo, actually, didn't you think, why didn't I take the blue pill?
Yeah.
And this scene struck me because he really thinks that this is a better life, even though it's not reality. I think this also was what Trinity says to him.
Mm. Mm.
It's not real. And he doesn't care. He just wants to live this comfortable, chill life, because this is where I get back to the MGTOW guys, because he doesn't want to grow as a person. He just wants to be the same old person he was, and he doesn't like the challenges of the new person he has to become,
Mm-hmm.
actually live in this reality.
Yeah.
And that is something, and this is also another great metaphor, because he drags, I think, 2 or 3 of the other guys into death because of what he does.
Mm.
And that's usually what happens to men that unplug and then discover the realities of life.
Mm.
I mean, they're not killing people, but they are really dragging them into a dark phase of their
Yes.
life
Yes.
through their anger and their resentment that has built up for years, and then it lashes out.
Mm.
And this hurts a lot of people. And I mean, it's understandable. It's an evolutionary process to go through this, but still, and wanting to go back, that struck me so weird.
Hey, you know what's an interesting like trivia about the movie? The two directors, the Wachowskis, they were interviewed and given Neo's choice, they both said they would choose the blue pill, which I find
Huh.
very interesting because the movie itself, I watch this movie and I think, okay, this is probably made by people who endorse the red pill view.
Yeah.
That's so interesting that especially the directors, the writers of this movie, would actually prefer the blue pill. That's
Yeah, that's weird sometimes. I was immediately reminded of Fight Club because
Right.
the director of Fight Club actually was trying to make a movie which makes fun of masculinity, and then made a very masculine movie out of it, which was a hallmark for men what they do. So sometimes it's really weird if you then finally get into the real thinking of the directors. And I didn't know this fact about the Wachowskis or Wachowskis, whatever you how you pronounce
Yeah,
them.
I don't
And
even want to get into that, man. I would probably,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's just yeah, let's just stop right there. No, but that's weird that they want to take the blue pill.
Yeah. I know this is really,
And yeah,
yes, yes.
well, yeah,
No, you first,
yeah.
please.
I guess there is a reason, which is what I explained before with Cypher, that you just want to enjoy the life, where you just don't know all of this shit because it's a burden on your mind, right?
Yeah.
If you think about it, if you're just a worker drone in this life and you don't know any of this exists, you just enjoy your video games and your porn and whatever, and you just don't know that your soul is virtually screaming at you to do something. You just don't notice that at all. Then, well, I guess it's kind of nice. And that's also the issue you have with these triggered people all the time. They just don't understand. They
Yes.
could never understand what it is, what it's like to be on the other side.
I know this is a really mundane thing to say again, but it just popped into my mind. What has been? I'm not asking like which pill would you choose because, like I said, it's a kindergarten kind of question. But what has been your biggest personal red pill? Like your personal greatest eye opener? I know this sounds so like trivial, but I'm very interested in the answer.
I think the biggest red pill really might be, or might have been rather, um, that I can completely control the outcome of my life. That's something I discovered very late in my life. Well, not that old, but you know, um, because actually the red pill about women wasn't that easy for me because inside myself I always thought about it like that. Um, this is what women want, and what I want is also what they want.
Yeah.
But I think that I am in complete control of my life. Like literally, I mean that in the words exactly. Um, that is something I discovered very late because I always thought, yeah, well, you are bound to circumstances and luck and all of that. And I don't think so anymore. I discovered that everything you are right now is your fault 100%. Now, some things might happen which you cannot influence, but how you react to them, that is 100% your choice. And this discovery that I have complete responsibility about everything in my life, literally everything, that was a red pill that took a while to swallow.
Yes, but this might come off as a lazy transition for me, but same as in the movie The Matrix, and the same thing that you just said. Yes, the red pill shows you the way the world works, but just like you said, that's all that it is, nothing more. And this information itself doesn't give you any direction in your life, right? No purpose in your life. Uh, this again, I cannot say this enough. It is a very personal note. Yeah, but the red pill itself does not give you any purpose in life, which I personally find way more important than anything else. I even have to say, I'd rather be a clueless pussy, like a blue pilled guy, with a dream and a purpose in life, than a so called red pill disciple, but with no direction in life. What is your take on that?
Yes, I totally agree. And I had actually the great, not the great, the same revelation when I was watching the movie again. Because if you think about it, if you really, I think like most of these red pill guys, they really just watch to the scene where he swallows the red pill and sees reality, and then they stop the movie. Because if you really keep watching it, Neo, after he swallowed the red pill, he is in chaos, in complete chaos. He doesn't know what the fuck is happening. I mean, he's even vomiting at the reality and all of it.
Yeah.
That's what most guys end up. But in the end, he has to find a purpose, something he has to do. It's exactly what you just mentioned. He finds his purpose to, which is obviously to tell the world that the Matrix is real and what it's about. And but his first purpose actually is something the Oracle gives to him, that he has to decide between his life and Morpheus's life.
Right.
This is his first thing. And here's the important part where we come back to reality and the red pill guys. Most of them, they see reality, how it really works, and then done with it. And that's the problem, because
Yeah.
that's really just a stage in your life. It's not, you cannot live like that in pure chaos all the time, where reality just sucks, everyone is bad, women hate you, and you hate women.
Yeah.
How is that gonna help your life at all? You need to find something to build on that.
Yeah, it's
That's really something, yeah.
yeah, it's actually the same as with Neo in the movie. That's a little bit what we are doing. I believe there's a reason why one of our slogans, or our main slogan for that matter, is "Stop swallowing pills." Look, what we're about to talk now is really personal. Whether you want to see the world as for what it really is, that is entirely up to you, right? But just a personal note, we could be wrong, of course, but man should not dwell and remain with the pill. I mean, watch The Matrix, right? Neo swallows the pill, and then his life, so to speak, begins, right? He does not stay in this limbo cave room, I don't know, with Morpheus and takes like 500 red pills. I mean, I read a comment on, I don't know if it was Twitter or YouTube. It was like one of the top comments, and it says, "Take the red pill twice a day, like some kind of medication." Which is crazy, man. I mean, Neo continues to go on, right? And that's exactly what I said before. I see man, strong, attractive, way more intelligent than I am, more or less wasting years on red pill videos. Brother, you are overdosed.
Well said there.
Yeah, I believe this might be a little bit too harsh, but I believe a woman would rather see you banging another girl than watch you sitting in front of your computer listening to 3 hours of like, I don't know, Rolo and co whining about female nature.
Absolutely.
This is like
Yes.
the ironic Fight Club situation, which, by the way, I really, we really are going to talk about this movie, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's a question. Does this look like a Fight Club, full of men, like sweating and bare knuckles? Or does this look like a self-help group?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I thought about this when I saw a recent, like they had a Zoom call or something with 8 people, 8 of these red pill guys,
yes.
and Rollo and a bunch of other, and that was so hard to watch, man. I mean, there was really just 8 apparently grown men talking shit about how women operate, and I was like, come on, man, is that really all that your life is about? Talking shit about how
This is
women
like my
operate.
new
I mean,
highlight. This gatherings where they all meet in those Google Hangouts, like a fucking self-help support group. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine James Bond sitting in front of his webcam, talking to other men about whether your sexual market value is finally going to peak? I mean, what the hell?
yeah.
This is so.
Yes, that's really something. The sexual market value is something I always found very interesting. I mean, I understand the basic notion of it, but really like trying to put it in numbers and all
Right.
of that, it's just, I mean, the weird thing for me is with these guys, and I like your James Bond metaphor there very much, because if you really think about it, he would not spend any minute thinking about how women operate because he has other things to do.
Right.
And that is exactly the point we were making earlier. Men need to have a purpose. And even if you swallow the red pill at some point, or have swallowed, whatever, then you need to move ahead and you need to find your purpose, something to do. And if your purpose is just talking about women, that's not gonna work because, yes, in the end, you will just end up swallowing these pills all the time, and that's
I mean,
That just makes you bitter.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's pathetic. I mean, I'm just picturing myself Neo and Morpheus sitting in this cave and like, oh, take another red pill, take another red pill. I mean, you take the red pill and then your life continues. And it's like a mirrors what I said in the beginning of the stream. At the end of your life, when you're lying in your bed dying, what are you going to say? Have you achieved something? Have you conquered the world, like you said, regardless
Hmm.
of what it is? Or have you wasted your life on countless hours on studying how uh, about the attack on masculinity and other bullshit stuff, right?
Yeah, that's. You see, that's so funny because the underlying notion is obviously correct. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, talking about the feminized society we live in, I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But talking about it for hours on end, I mean, why not go out and do something about it?
Right.
If that's really so near and dear to your heart, if that's really that big of an issue. I mean, for you rather. But the reason why these guys do this is because it sells. They
Mm-hmm.
might hate me for saying this, but I think that is the main reason, and that is also the reason why many of these guys have been repeating themselves for 8 years, literally saying the same things over and over again.
Right.
Because the reason why this sells so well is twofold. First, obviously, you can blame someone, and people like that. You can just blame women for how they are.
Mm.
And second, it takes all responsibility away from you because they are at fault, right?
Yeah, you became a
It's this.
passive person, right?
Yes, exactly. And then you can sit in your ivory tower and just talk shit about the peasants
Right.
down below you. But you will also never move. You will sit in this tower forever. And that's just not a life I want to have. I'm more like this the nomad guy. I just want to be at places. I want to see different
Mm-hmm.
things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That also means different people, different like mental setups, and what do you think about this and that. That's what I want to do, and I think that's also what men should be doing, because you should discover and conquer the world, right? So
Right.
yeah, but it's yeah, that's the reason why it sells so well, and I guess that's also the reason why they do it, because they're making money with it. But it doesn't really help people, I think, especially if I think about Carlo Tomasi's book, The Rational
Mm-hmm.
Male.
Mm-hmm.
I've obviously read it, of course, and it was pretty much the red pill for me. Well, yeah, sort of. But the interesting part, I think, is this: he says himself that some men, after reading that, fall into the abyss, is what he's calls it.
Mm-hmm.
They become bitter and resentful towards women. And I think he only said once or twice, I don't know, that they need to overcome this. Otherwise, they end up as MGTOW guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he has the wrong focus, because this transition, bridging the gap to the abyss, is the most important part in swallowing the red pill.
Mm-hmm.
Because seeing the reality is one thing, but you need to go ahead and actually enjoy life, and that is the bridge he should be making. But he isn't. He's really just putting these guys towards the edge, and then he says, "Well, you jump. Maybe you make it. Maybe not. That's up to you." And I think he should really guide them over this abyss.
Yeah, that's actually what I put in the thumbnail for this episode. This is like after you've taken the red pill, do you go through your life? There are three solutions. You either go through life bitter, or indifferent, or like stoic, the way you said it, or
Hmm.
with pleasure. And I believe you can explain this
Yes.
way better than me. Like we have the MGTOWs, who are the bitter ones. Like we have the indifferent stoic zombies. The ones who
Yeah.
remain with the red pill and like swallow it daily, twice. Uh,
Yeah.
and where are the guys who have taken the red pill and see life as a party? Who work hard but enjoy the hard work with pleasure.
Well, I guess we have one very famous example of that,
Mm,
Andrew Tate, right?
yes, right.
Funnily enough, he's a lot of times painted as like a misogynist or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always also connected with the red pill for some reason, but he is very, very different from all these red pill guys. And interacting with him a lot has taught me that, because he, as well as his brother as well, he really, really enjoys female company and just being with or around or having women around, even though most of the time he obviously is with his brother. And this is a very important point here as well.
Right.
But the point I'm making is this: he knows very well how women operate. He has them under control, if you want to call it like that. I mean, he has multiple girlfriends, right? So he obviously knows how it works. But he doesn't hate them. No, he enjoys the female energy, which is what you should be doing. He understands how they work, what they want, how they decide to have sex, and all of that. And he doesn't come out bitter because of it. And that is the difference here.
Yeah, let me make a statement.
Yes.
What if I say the red pill isn't going to improve your life with women? Like, quite frankly, living together with a woman can be heaven on earth. Life after red pill can be pretty fun, and this is what I want to explore further in this podcast. Drop the seriousness a little bit. Alex, I would like you to comment on that now. Like, there's always this sort of seriousness, bitterness to the whole red pill. What do the people call it? Like manosphere, right? I do not associate red pill with the life I actually want to live.
Yes.
That's
Exactly. That is exactly the point we are, I think, trying to get here in this podcast throughout all the time. That, yeah, it's not. The red pill isn't a religion, or it shouldn't be. Rather, it is a religion, obviously, but it shouldn't be. These guys, they swallow the red pill, and then that's all they ever do. And the issue is really here, as you said quite well, that this is making your life very bad and bitter. And I totally agree. If you live in this state that you are the red pilled guy, if you give yourself that label, and that all women are, what's it called? All women are like that. Isn't that the slogan they
right,
have?
right.
And what I don't like about this is this defeatist mindset. Because from the get go, you are a loser. It's just your turn, right?
Right.
That's such bullshit, man. If you go into a relationship with that, you are about to lose from the beginning. Because there's no way you can win in this situation if it's just your turn. And there's no other way to do it. If you live under this like mindset, then you will always lose and you will hate half of the population on this planet. And it's just a lifestyle I don't understand.
Right, and I assume we don't want to be that kind of podcast, or like, for example, there's this movie Predator, and it's a pretty good movie. By the way, do you know which red pill lesson is hidden in the prologue? I know what you I know what you're thinking. Predator doesn't have a prologue. I know that. Give me a chance to explain myself. No, seriously, there was a time when movies were written so subtle, so well, so mind blowing, that we can easily dig deeper than just a red pill message. The world has more to offer than some lessons on red pill. And so don't stop at the red pill is what I would pledge. Go a little bit further with us. Let's check out the whole. People tend to glorify stuff. They make a religion out of it, a cult or a social club. Like the manosphere stuff. But they always stop there, right? Whether it be like MGTOW or Red Pill, I know Star Wars, God forbid. Yeah, there's a sense of seriousness around those channels. I mean, close your eyes right now. Can you imagine Rolo cracking over a joke? Clearly enjoying himself, like having a good time. It's like, oh my god, it's so stupid, he says. No, like a child with a new toy, like a dog with two tails. Look, I'm not saying he's wrong, but if being a man means to be like him, I don't know.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think I've never actually seen him make a joke. Maybe I'm wrong with that. Maybe there is some random video where he does it, but in any interview I've always seen him, or Zoom calls or whatever, he's always so serious about anything.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I guess that's the kind of man he's trying to paint. intentionally, I guess, because that's sort of, yeah, I mean, it makes the gap bigger between men and women because women are obviously very emotional, and we agree on that. But if you are trying to be completely the opposite of any woman by being as emotionally dead as possible, then you put yourself in this position where you are just better than them.
Right.
And this is what sells for him and all the other Red Pill guys, I guess. But it's just not a very fun way to live because in the end, do you really want to live a life where you completely miss out on the joy?
Yeah, that's a
That's not
question, right?
really,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not really a nice way to live, is it? And living in this constant regurgitation of feeling bad and hating women and pretty much hating your older self for how you've been a blue pill guy. This is also what these guys do. They hate themselves. And I always say, dude, you gotta proceed, man. That's the past, and there's a good reason it was like that
Right.
because you could wake up and see reality for what it is, but there's no point in regretting it. That's just how you were raised, and that's it. So yes, I that's if you really compare like Andrew Tate and Rollo in interviews or something. Andrew is always smiling. He's always cracking jokes, or not always, but he is cracking jokes, and he's smiling. He's enjoying himself and his life, and it's not the money because I know that Rollo has made a lot of money with his books as well, so that isn't the issue. But Rollo, like, he's always so bitter, and I don't want to talk shit on Rollo all the time because that's
Right.
not really
Right.
what this podcast is about. But it's just a great example of if you just really look at the personas of these guys, who would you rather follow? I mean,
Yeah, it's like the
the
James
guy
Bond
who,
question, you know. If I watch a James Bond movie, I'm
yes,
like, man, I want to be like him. If I watch a Rolo video, I'm not saying, oh yeah, I want to be like him, man. That's the
yes,
man, you know.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, funnily enough, I think Andrew Tate has also been um, all the modern day James Bond because he lives
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
pretty similar
Yes,
lifestyle.
yes.
I would say so, yeah. Except for maybe he's not working for the government.
And he's not a
At least we don't know.
feminist, right?
Oh yeah, right. True, true. Yeah, but yeah, that's the very important part I'm trying to get here is even though you see reality for what it is, and I have also talked about many other red pills in life,
Right.
like the corporate world, for example, or like how life is set up in general with the processed food and all of that, and how to escape from that. I mean, you could end up seeing all of life very dark and bitter, but what does it really help you? I mean, understanding it, yes, that there are some dark sides to life, absolutely, totally. But then losing yourself in this darkness, I don't know what this is really gonna help you or how it is gonna help you. So
I don't know, Alex, would you watch a video that is called, I don't know, There's a War on Masculinity, or We Are Being Attacked? I mean, that's what we just talked about, right? It makes us into the passive one. I also read a comment that goes a little bit like this. Like the red pilled man, or someone who has swallowed the red pill, has already reached and achieved liberation, the ultimate victory. You know, which is completely contradictory to what I believe, and I assume what you believe, right? So
yes,
like getting information on something is not a victory. You haven't achieved anything. You know, you just listen to a podcast and that's it, right? So that's yeah.
yes, yeah, I would actually say it's quite the contrary. These guys, if they stay in the red pill, they've lost. They didn't win anything. They because they lost their joy for life,
Right.
and that's really not a win in my books. I mean, don't know how you rationalize this in your mind to make it a win, but I guess because they think they are now above all women and because they understand them, they can control them. At least they think so, and that sort of feels like a win to them. I don't know, maybe. I don't know how
right.
these guys operate in the mind. But once you go down this rabbit hole and become that bitter man, I guess some things become very weird for you.
Absolutely. So
But
that's a,
to answer your question, no, I would not watch such a movie. Obviously
right.
not, because I mean, that's just, yeah. As I said in the beginning, that's a defeatist mindset from the beginning.
Mm.
You've already lost before you started.
Yeah, that's what I
And
really liked
yeah,
about what you said when we first met, and what you repeated a few minutes ago. You just said that red pill should only be a passage, only a page in a book.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, that's exactly it. I like for that. I like The Rational Male, the first book. I wouldn't actually go read the other books. The first one is enough. Read that book. It's totally fine. And then maybe have your anger phase. I don't know, but it shouldn't really take longer than, I don't know, a week or something. If you are angry longer than that, then there's something wrong here.
yeah,
But then you need to move ahead. Then you need to accept, all right, this is a stage in my life. I now discovered reality. I
right.
see how it works. Now what do I do with it? That has to be the question you're going to ask yourself. What am I going to do now in this new world I'm currently in, or I'm now in?
Right.
How do I operate within it? And yeah, that's because I always said the red pill is just a stage, and it should be more. And if you talk about the same thing for 8 years, then there's seriously something wrong, man, because you're still stuck in this unplugging.
Right.
You haven't unplugged, you're still stuck in it, and that's a very nice way to live.
I believe that mirrors your favorite scene from The Matrix, right? Like some people are not ready to get unplugged, and in that case,
Yes.
they are not ready to get unplugged from the red pill, right?
Yes, exactly. Funnily enough, even though they call themselves unplugged, I think they aren't at all. As it said in that scene, some people are just not ready because they are still too emotionally loaded or emotionally involved in this whole thing. Probably because of what happened to them in the past, like a marriage or something. I don't know. And then they really are not ready to be unplugged, but they get pretty much pulled out of their bubble world with ferocious force, and then they are thrown into this chaos and they don't know what to do. And this is again where I say it's the place where these people should be picked up, which is what I've been trying to do for
Right.
years now, and give them a purpose and something, a meaning in life, now that they understand reality.
Yeah, it's I don't know if that's even counterproductive if you get those years of content of red pill and stuff. What would be like your to go I don't know what kind of word would you give to people who are like stuck in the red pill movement, or like I mean it's I can imagine it must be quite difficult to get out of this downward spiral, because it's imagine spending years in a kind of a hopeless environment. What would be your advice to people like that?
Yeah, that is very, very tough. I'm not gonna lie, because like each year you spend in that downward spiral, it gets worse because you just reinforce your own beliefs about how this operates, how this world operates, and then they sort of become ironclad walls of beliefs which are very, very tough to tear down. So you would actually need another red pill from the red pill
Yeah.
to see reality again in how it really works, and that not all women are controlled by a hypergamous hive mind trying to steal your money.
Right.
That's just not how it works, right? And yeah, that's advice is tough here because you need to have a very heavy introspection into your life. Not exactly yourself, I guess that comes later, but
Right.
just look at your life. What are you doing? How you are interacting with other people? Are you like enjoying being around other people, women especially? And how do you operate? Like your mindset when you see a woman. That's usually how these bitter guys also already react. When they see women, they immediately think, "Oh God, she's out to do something. She's out to get me in some way." And this immediate reaction this is the bad thing. You need to control your thoughts in that regard, and that's something that will take time. And obviously, if you are one of these guys, you won't listen to what I say anyway. So that's been my experience a lot with generally helping people. You can really only help them if they want to be helped, and a lot of these guys, they don't want that. They might like it if they knew about it, but they don't know. They think the red pill is the only way, and this is how it operates and works. And then it's tough to get them out of that. And sadly, I don't really have a solution for that. The only thing I could say, if they randomly come across The Way of the Superior Man, is a fantastic book from David Data, or Dida, I don't know exactly how it's pronounced. And because this book is a red pill version, but it has a very positive outlook on this whole situation. And if you randomly, because I mentioned this book because sometimes it is mentioned in the red pill sphere or in the man sphere.
Right.
Sometimes it is mentioned, so maybe they came across it, and this should already give you a first glimpse of you could enjoy a life after the red pill. And then there's a path upwards from chaos to order once again, but it's going to be a tough road depending on how long you've been in this downward spiral.
What do you think is the reason why so many men have become so passive? You know, I mean, you said before that everything you do and everything that happens to you is your own fault, right? And I would agree with that. But obviously, there has been, something's going on, and more people tend to be, like a passive person. Well, it's the president's fault. It's the women's fault.
Yes.
Which is why do you have a theory why everything becomes so passive?
Yes, and I know at first this might sound contradictory to what I said with everything is your fault, but let me explain. So there is obviously, which is again where I agree with the red pill guys, there is, if you want to call it, a warfare against masculinity, but it's not done by women because they don't want losers. They want proper men, obviously. But if you look at what we eat, what we do, and how we are raised and all of that, all of it suppresses your inner masculine fire. And what this does is it ruins your energy, because it's really just a hormonal question. If your testosterone is in check, then you have a lot of energy. That's something that I noticed myself a lot. Once I fixed my diet and stopped with getting shit-faced drunk each weekend and all of that, and pretty much suppressing my testosterone. Once I raised that level again, I were much more energetic. The biggest change for me was when I found a purpose. When I had something to strive for, which is where I come full circle again to the conquest you have to embark on. When you have a conquest, you as a man have a lot of energy naturally, because it is what drives us.
Right.
And most men these days, they don't have a conquest. They really have nothing to do. They work their shitty jobs, and they come home, play video games, and then they watch Netflix with their wife, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
And so you have really nothing to strive for. And this saps your energy very heavily, because you need something that pulls you, that gives you something to do. And yeah, it's partly because of how we are eating and how we are living. I mean, without sunlight and with high processed food, a lot of sugar, that's really not helping your hormonal system at all. So that is where the energy gets lost a lot, plus having no purpose. And then these men end up just being worker drones, really. Just that is exactly how society wants it. Now, I mean, this goes a lot into conspiracy theories and all of that. And yeah, I don't want to go too deep into that, but just look at how society is set up. I don't care if it's a a cabal or anything involved, or it's just random occurrence that we are living like that right now. It's not how men should be living. That is just a fact. No matter how it came to be, we shouldn't be like that. And that is exactly why men are like that, and why they have no energy and are really just passive. And that is exactly why they enjoy the red pill, because they can just sit back, blame women, and still do nothing. So
Right.
yeah, that's why this works so well.
Yeah, it's always people always tend like to. I mean, this works in religion as well. Like it's
Yeah.
like you always have a cult. You always have like this group. It's always like this group forming itself, and
But
yeah,
that's
people get
that's
stuck. People get stuck in that.
yeah, that's normal though, because tribalism is just a very human thing, because we are meant to live in tribes. There's another huge topic we can talk about at some point,
Right, of
that
course.
living in these huge cities is really not very humanly, if you want to call it that, because we're meant to live in smaller tribes. But that would also fix a lot of other problems, but that's a different topic. Um, yeah, but yeah, that's thing I think is the reason why these guys are so passive in the end.
Alex, I believe we are out of time. Slowly, I believe we have a few
Oh
more
yeah, it's
minutes, but
already. Oh yeah.
man, it's crazy. The day it's getting bright outside. Takes a little bit more.
A little bit.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I might have a last question because there's something that's been bugging me for a whole week, and I was hoping we could get this in the last segment of this show. Getting a little
Sure.
bit off topic. I was reading something about a guy who struggled with parenting, and it is striking for him. It is the daily debate of wanting to give his son a better life than he had versus making it all too easy for him. And it's really tough, right? I mean,
Oh
I've
yes.
been thinking about this the whole week, and once you earned it all, and I believe you are in a position to answer this, are you enjoying vacation with your family, or do you want your sons to have like the same tough, shitty vacation experience that you had? Right? It's really hard. What would you say?
This is a very very tough question, and I've gotta admit I haven't actually reconciled it with myself yet, because my son's still very young. Yeah, there are two sides to this. Obviously, you want to have the best for your kids,
Right.
obviously, and they enjoy life and vacations with the family and all of that. And obviously, I enjoy it more if they are on a nice vacation with me. But on the other side, I know very well that living my past life, I couldn't afford all of these things. That this also helped me to be who I am now. It was a very important stage. Now, you could argue I could have learned all of this sooner, so I would have would already be a multimillionaire or something. I don't know. But it's tough, I think. But thinking about this recently a lot, actually, I'm more leaning towards the giving the sons more challenges, making it harder for them, and making it too comfortable. Because if you think about it, this society currently is already too comfortable for most people. So I would much rather have them more on the adversity side and the struggle side.
Right.
Now, obviously, I'm not throwing them out with zero money and that they have to live under a bridge, but definitely, I'm not trying to spoil them. And yeah, there's a lot of things. Recently, actually, talked with my wife about sweets for kids, right? Because I know someone who gives their kids a lot of sweets, actually, and I'm not a like. I mean, I hate that obviously, but it's their decision. And but that's something I notice as well, because this is just something in our current society where this is just abundant everywhere. These easy pleasures, and they don't form you as a person. They don't help you in any way. It actually makes it worse because you're used to this comfort.
Right.
But all the difficult things in life, like having a stable relationship, making money, actually surviving in life, are difficult still.
Right.
That hasn't changed. So this, easy pleasure we have everywhere gives us a false sense of security, which is completely wrong because life isn't secure most of the time. You can always be run over just walking out on the street. You never know. And there's no point in living in fear, obviously, but there's also no point in living in complete safety because that's both not how reality is.
Right.
You need to realize that there are some adversities you have to face. And I think that is very important in raising up your kids, especially your sons, because as men, they have to really live with that because they have the burden of performance, obviously. So they need to understand that they have to struggle to make themselves into something. And yeah, that's why I am more leaning towards the adversity side there.
Right. Right. Yeah. The reason I was thinking about is because back when I was a kid, it has been a kind of a xenophobia when me and my friends were seeing like kids from rich parents, right, on the other side of the street, kids with a rich background. We automatically despise them. And to be honest, for my life, I cannot remember why. It's crazy. It's crazy. And maybe think about it. If you did not grow up rich, right? But you are rich now. Like, would you give your son like the privilege? Like, yeah, that's really something that keeps me invested.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't call myself rich, but let's say comfortable. Let's put it that way. Even though I hate this word, but Uh, but yes, that is a very difficult thing. I think I know exactly what you mean when you're talking back to its days.
Right.
I also remember because I grew up, but not very poor, but let's say it was a struggle for my mom, and seeing the other kids, they just had a different upbringing, which also meant a different mindset to things. I remember one day, I don't know exactly how the day went, but in the end, I lent my PlayStation to someone.
Right.
I don't know exactly why or how this came to be. I don't know. And I received it back broken, right? Like the controller was damaged or something. And he was one of the more richer guys, and he just didn't care. He said, "Oh, yeah, it's broken. Just buy a new one." And I'm like, "You see, that's not how this works. I just can't buy a new one. Even if I could, you just don't have the understanding for value, really,
Right.
of these things. I mean, it's not just that I can break a PlayStation every time I play with it. That's just how do you have an understanding for how valuable things are. And that's, I guess, the big part where the classes pretty much clashed there. And that is something I will definitely try to get out of my, well, not even into my kids, rather, that they never have this understanding of value in things, that you can't just buy something new. If they break something, then it's gone. They need to earn it again.
Right.
It's definitely something I will teach them. And I think that is an important part, and a lot of rich kids usually don't have that because I guess it's how this is just set up, because these rich kids usually have I say, father who works a lot. That's how he makes his money.
Right.
And the mother obviously just tries to give everything to her child. But then he never really learns how to earn these things. That is also why I think I like this a lot, that the royal family from Great Britain still sends their sons to military, right? Because I think that is very important to learn something here. You have to work for yourself, that you have to build these things, and you have to be disciplined and all of that.
Right, because
Even though it didn't work
you're born royal, right? So it's like your birthright. It's not something you have earned, not something you have worked for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is a bad mindset to go through life, because in the end, who's Prince Harry? Isn't he with Meghan? I don't know his name.
Oh yeah.
I think, yeah. So he
Look at this moment. I always want to pretend I don't know who it is, because
Yes.
I don't want people to think that I really care about this stuff, but man, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
just you notice it just because everyone talks about it or
Right.
talked about it.
Right.
Yeah, but he's the bad example of this, which
Mm,
is
mm,
intentionally why I brought him up, because even though he went to the military and he's gone through all of that, he still fucked it up. I mean, he gave it all away, his whole royal name, just because of a
mm,
woman. So that, I mean, even then it still might happen, but it's a better setup just mentally to understand that everything could be gone at some point.
mm.
You could lose your royal status and all your money
Right.
and all your comfort and luxuries. And then what do you do? If you never learned how to build this up yourself, then yeah, you're just gone. You're lost. And you
Right.
can do nothing about it. And yeah, that's why I think I will be a pretty strict dad actually. Uh, because I think it's very important and I didn't get enough of this myself. I noticed what it did, and just by pure accident, I think I discovered how it is important and made myself into that person. But I think it's much better if you get taught this earlier.
Alex, it's like a week before Christmas. If your
Yes.
son would be like 10 years old, what would you give him for Christmas?
Ooh, tough question. Personally, at this point, I wouldn't want, I say want, to give him any presents because I
Mm,
know he will receive a lot from like the family.
right.
Uh, and that is another thing I saw in another family. That kid, he has like all the toys you can have.
Mm,
And when we were there and gave him another like gift for his birthday, I think he unpacked it, he looked at it, played with it for like 2 minutes, and then it was boring. And I thought, see, when I was young, when I was a kid, I had like 4 or 5 toys, and I played with them all the time.
right.
They were valuable to me. And this kid just has everything, and that is a very bad mindset as well. So
Mm,
I would definitely try to make the presents as scarce as possible. Less he like earned it, obviously, but that comes later. But I guess with 10 years, it's fine. But for Christmas, I don't know. I wouldn't give him like very much. Maybe something small.
all right, kids, keep away from Alex the Grinch.
Yes.
You won't get anything from him. Listen, Alex, it's been an enjoying pleasure to speak to
Oh
you, man.
yes.
There's a lot of wisdom dropped here. I hope you're listening, my boys. This is Red Smoke, and Alex, we are going to be back on Christmas Eve, I believe, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, I mean, we were debating about this, like whether we should start the podcast in 2021, but yeah, we were like, no, it started this year. Why wait? And why shouldn't we do a stream on Christmas?
Yes. No overthinking, just action. That's what we said in the beginning,
Absolutely,
right?
yes, yeah. Only weeks until our OnlyFans page drops, guys.
Oh yes.
All right, guys.
That's another topic as well, but yeah, we're not going to go down
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely. Guys, if you want to know what's going to be the topic of next week, stay tuned. Best way is over Twitter. Just if you want to talk to Alex, or if you want to know more about Red Smoke, just follow him at self-conquering. If you want to follow me, it's at pride bottom line R. Or if you want some general info about Red Smoke, you can at Red Smoke Podcast on Twitter, and we will keep you updated about the next stream, which will be on Christmas Day in Germany, the 25th. It's gonna be on the 24th in at 10 p.m. Central on Christmas Eve. As glamorous as that sounds.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I very much enjoyed this podcast today.
Absolutely.
It was great talking to you as always, and I think we discovered and rediscovered a lot of proofs, and I think it helped our listeners a lot
I hope
because
so.
there was some great nuance in it, which is exactly the great part I see in podcasts, that you actually get to unravel the nuances in
Right.
things and not just like definite statements, which are usually wrong. And yeah, that's why I enjoy this so much, because you can really dive deep into the topics.
Absolutely. So, Alex, the next wisdom will be dropped on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
All right. All right, guys. I hope you're having a good night in America or wherever you are listening. The day is starting here in Germany. It's time for another coffee for me and Alex. And then we might go to sleep again or not. Who knows? And I hope to see you guys next week. Until then, bye bye.